anti-criminality, anti-corruption, and above all, federalism. He was then a mayor of a major city in Mindanao, and he was supported by the PDP. Well, we rallied behind his candidacy for president. We believed in him, and so did 16 million other Filipinos. The rest was history. Mayor Digong became President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. And how Cebu delivered with a margin of 1.2 million votes over his closest rival. Because that is how Cebu delivers. When they believe in a man, when they believe in his cause. In his cause. 3 years later, in 2019, rival. Because that is how with a growing Cebu delivers. A much bigger when group they believe that joined in a man, when they believe and ran for each in his of cause. Our respective positions in his cause. Here, in 3 years later, in this in 2019, rival. We swept the gubernatorial because that is how with including Cebu provincial delivers. A much race bigger when we swept they believe the three that joined in a man tri-cities when they believe in Cebu in his cause. Andawe, Lapu-Lapu, and Cebu City. In 3 years later, this afternoon, in 20 of Cebu gathered here, rival. We swept once more the gubernatorial because that is how with including Cebu provincial delivers. A much race bigger when we swept they believe the three that joined in a man tri-cities when they believe in Cebu in his cause. Andawe, Lapu-Lapu, and Cebu City. And in Cebu years later, this afternoon, especially since there's a rival, once more, when the gubernatorial because that is how as governor of the province of Cebu, I thank the national leadership for choosing Cebu to be the venue of this all-important gathering. Truly, by so doing, you have underscored the importance of Cebu in the coming national elections. And the gubernatorial because that is how. And judging from how Cebu can deliver, perhaps it might not be too much to say that where Cebu goes, so will the rest of the country. And so, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome all of you right here in this one united, unified, great island of Cebu. Daghan kaayong salamat.
Thank you so much, Governor Gwen Garcia, for the wonderful welcome remarks. As they say, history repeats itself. In case of PDP Laban, history repeats itself not once, twice, thrice. I remember that the first major meeting of PDP Laban sometime in the early 1980s was held here in Cebu. And as Governor Gwen Garcia has mentioned, Cebu delivered the biggest votes for Mayor Digong and became President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Again, please render a round of applause to our Cebuanos under the leadership of Governor Gwen Garcia. Now let's go to the meeting proper of the National Council. But before, I'm going to ask our Vice Chairman to preside the meeting proper. Let me just say a few words. Political parties are not ordinary organizations or associations or corporations. Political parties are quasi-government agencies vested with public interest. And no less than the Philippine Constitution itself, under Article 9, letter C, Section 2, Paragraph 5, up to Section
Paniniwala siya nawa siya nawa.
Please remain standing. Please clap your hands in honor of our God, our Allah. Thank you. Some people are asking bakit nauna raw yung pambansang awit bago yung prayers. Ang sagot po dyan, before you pray, you have to identify yourself who you are. Are you a Filipino? Are you an American? Or what? So we have done that in PDP Laban. We have identified ourselves. We are Filipinos. And then that's the time that we ask blessings from our God. Now, may I call on Mayor Cortez of Mandawi City to please lead the recitation of the PDP Laban Creed. Please raise your left hand and follow Mayor Cortez. I commit myself to a peaceful and democratic way of life, to ensure the establishment and maintenance
Society
of a Filipino society
characterized by freedom,
solidarity,
solidarity,
justice,
justice, equity, social responsibility,
social responsibility,
self-reliance,
self-reliance,
efficiency,
enlightened
enlightened nationalism
under a federal system of government.
under a federal system of government.
Commit myself
I
I further commit myself
to the five principles:
to the five principles:
humanism,
humanism,
enlightened nationalism,
enlightened
nationalism,
democratic socialism,
and
consultative participatory democracy.
consultative. Please give a round of applause. You may take your seat. We're going to hear from no less than the governor of Cebu province, Governor Gwen Garcia, for her welcome remarks.
Us decided to throw our lot in
Paniniwala siya nawa
please remain standing. Please clap your hands in honor of our God, our Allah.
Paniniwala.
Us decided to throw our lot in with a man who espoused the advocacies that we believed in: anti-drugs, anti-criminality, anti-corruption, and above all, federalism. He was then a mayor of a major city in Mindanao, and he was supported by the PDP. Well, we rallied behind his candidacy for president. We believed in him, and so did 16 million other Filipinos. The rest was history. Mayor Digong became President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. And how Cebu delivered with a margin of 1.2 million votes over his closest rival. Because that is how Cebu delivers. When they believe in a man, when they believe in his cause. In his cause. 3 years later, in 2019, we gathered with a growing crescendo, a much bigger group that joined the PDP and ran for each of our respective positions. Here in Cebu, in this island of Cebu, we swept the gubernatorial race, including the provincial board members race, and we swept the 3 important tri-cities in Cebu: Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu, and Cebu City. This afternoon, we are gathered here once more in this huge assembly of PDP leaders to take stock of where we are and to define the direction by which PDP and Cebu will be going, especially since there's a looming 2022 presidential election. As governor of the province of Cebu, I thank the national leadership for choosing Cebu to be the venue of this all-important gathering. Truly, by so doing, you have underscored the importance of Cebu in the coming national elections. And judging from how Cebu can deliver, perhaps it might not be too much to say that where Cebu goes, so will the rest of the country. And so, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome all of you right here in this one united, unified, great island of Cebu. Daghan kaayong salamat.
Thank you so much, Governor Gwen Garcia, for the wonderful welcome remarks. As they say, history repeats itself. In case of PDP Laban, history repeats itself not once, twice, thrice. I remember that the very first major meeting of PDP Laban sometime in the early 1980s was held here in Cebu. And as Governor Gwen Garcia has mentioned, Cebu delivered the biggest votes for Mayor Digong and became President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Again, please render a round of applause to our Cebuanos under the leadership of Governor Gwen Garcia. Now let's go to the meeting proper of the National Council. But before, I'm going to ask our Vice Chairman to preside the meeting proper. Let me just say a few words. Political parties are not ordinary organizations or associations or corporations. Political parties are quasi-government agencies vested with public interest. And no less than the Philippine Constitution itself, under Article 9, letter C, Section 2, Paragraph 5, up to Section 10, you can see the different provisions of the Philippine Constitution governing the operation, administration, and management of political parties. Political parties remain accountable to the people. Leaders and members of political parties can be held accountable, even criminally liable, if they violate our election laws and our Constitution. It is for this reason that's why we are calling this National Council meeting in order that we can make PDP Laban really an accountable political party and helping service our nation. And for this, may I now call on the Vice Chairman of PDP Laban, the Energy Secretary Alfonso Cuse, call meeting of the National Council to order.
Okay. Thank you, Secretary Lambino, our designated MC for today's meeting. And I would like to also thank Governor Gwen for her welcome remarks and welcoming us in this city of Cebu, the beautiful city of Cebu. And to my fellow cabinet members, Secretary Morales and Secretary Dino, for joining me at this meeting. And of course, at the chairman's table, we have also Mayor Cortez. So, okay, so I call this meeting out to order. And before we proceed, I just want to say that by the authority of the chairman under Article 16, Section 4 in relation to Section 5 of the PDP Laban Constitution, I call this meeting to order at 1:58 this afternoon, May 31, 2021. If any member wishes to examine the authority delegated to me, please proceed to the Secretariat to verify the documents. And before we proceed, may I ask the Secretariat to confirm and make a roll call of the quorum. Secretariat, please.
We call Attorney Melvin Matibag, the Deputy Secretary General of PDP Laban, to please call the roll.
Afternoon. In today's national committee meeting, we are supposed to be 159. Right now, 140 is in Zoom and in physical presence. In attendance today, or physically present, Secretary Alcusi, Secretary Carlo Gares, Secretary Maldino, Governor Gwen Garcia, Secretary Franklin Quijano, Undersecretary Asra Naik, Chairman of Membership Committee, Alonso Saclag from Car Region, Secretary de la Serna, Congressman Lulipap, Mayor Junard Ahong, Mayor Jonas Cortez, and Secretary Lino is present, PG Pasa is present, and in Zoom, the Secretary present are Secretary Carlos Dominguez, Secretary Wendell Abisado, MMD Chair Benhar Abalos, Pastor Greco Butch Belica, Chairperson Greco Belica, and Undersecretary Alvin Feliciano. Out of 39 governors, we have 22 governors present in Zoom. There are Governor Nancy Catamco of Cotabato, Governor Dale Domingo Corbera of Agusan del Norte, Governor Art Defensor of Iloilo, Governor Imelda de Maporo of Plano del Norte, Governor Bons Dolor of Oriental Mindoro, Governor Hermogenes Ebdane of Zambales, Governor Amado Espino of Pangasinan, Governor Ben Ibardone of Eastern Samar, Governor Ramil Hernandez of Laguna, Governor Dodo Mandanas of Batangas, Governor Florencio Mirores of Aklan, Governor Francisco Ortega of La Union, Governor Wilter Palma of Zamboanga Sibugay, Governor Domingo Pitilla of Leyte, Governor Jose Riano of Romblon, Governor Edgar Tallado of Camarines Norte, Governor Tuban of Kalinga, Governor Roberto Uy of Zamboanga del Norte, Governor Refugio Velasco of Marinduque, Governor Sandy Villa of Siquijor, Governor Victor Sur. Governors to Governor present Zoom, and Governor Gwen Garcia is physically present. Governor Arvez is also on his way to attend physically. Congressman, we have 57 congressman members present physically, Congresswoman Lollipop Juanyo and Congressman Bin Matugas. Speaker Lord Alan Velasco is present virtually. Congresswoman Maria P. Abunda of Eastern Samar is present. Congresswoman Lenlen Alonte of Binyan City is present. Congresswoman Baby Arenas of the 3rd of Pangasinan is present. Congresswoman Sherilyn Banyas Nograles of South Cotabato. Congressman Jose Francisco Benitez of Negros Occidental. Congressman Rupi Biason of Muntinlupa. Congressman Rimpi Bontoc of the 4th District of Pampanga. Congressman Antonio Calixto of Pasay. Congressman Kari. Congressman Juni Cuwa of Quirino. Forgot to mention Governor Dax Cuwa is also present. And Congressman Tonico of Masbate. Congressman Lawrence Defensor of Iloilo is present. Congressman Khalid de Maporo of Lanao del Norte 1st District. Congressman Faustino Nino D. of the 5th District of Isabela. Congressman Jonmel Espino of Pangasinan. Congresswoman Ria Pariñas of Ilocos Norte. Congressman Joyet Garcia of Bataan. Congresswoman Lucy Torres of the 4th District of Leyte. Congressman Ferdinand Hernandez of South Cotabato, 2nd District. Congresswoman Dulce Ann Hopper of Zamboanga Sibugay, 2nd District. Congresswoman Elisa Co of Masbate, 2nd District. Congressman Wilton Co. of the 3rd District of Masbate, Congresswoman Lona Labad-Labad, Zamboanga del Norte, 2nd District, Congressman Jojo Lara of Cagayan, 3rd District, Congressman Del Malapitan of the 1st District of Caloocan, Congresswoman Ruth Mariano Hernandez, Congressman Eric Martinez of Valenzuela, is one of the original PDP in the 2016 election, Congresswoman Maria Angelica Matba of Agusan del Norte, Congresswoman Lucille Nava, Congressman Eric Olivares of Parañaque, Congressman Rogelio Pacquiao of Sarangani is present, Congresswoman Marisol Panotes of Camarines Norte, 2nd District, Congressman Johnny Pimentel, Surigao del Norte, 2nd District, Congressman Dalan of North Cotabato, Congressman Joey Salceda of the 2nd District of Albay, Congresswoman Rhea Vergara of Nueva Ecija, 3rd District, Congressman Henry Villarica, Bulacan, 2nd District, Congresswoman Divina Grace Yu of Zamboanga del Sur, and Congressman Ronnie Zamora of San Juan City. City mayors who is in attendance, Mayor Mechi Abalos of Mandaluyong, Mayor also in attendance is Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, physically present today. Nabanggit ko na. Okay. So, those are also present today is Deputy Secgen for Mindanao, Attorney Sergio Yap. Mr. Chairman, Secretary Noel Peyonco is also here. So we have a composition of the secretaries and the congressman governors present today. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chairman, we have 159 members of the National Council in attendance by Zoom and physically is 107, Mr. Chairman. We have a quorum. We only need 63 to compose a quorum, Mr. Chairman. So we can proceed with our meeting today. Oh, I was just informed, just entered the Zoom, is Senator Bato de la Rosa and Senator Tolentino. So, kumpleto na tayo, represented po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Chair,
Secretary.
I'm sorry. I think Governor's meeting. So, Governor Faculty is also present. So, yung mga pumapasok po, Mr. But just the same, room.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Secretariat. In accordance to our Constitution, we only need 40%, and obviously we are more than that. So, with the confirmation of the quorum, we now proceed with the meeting. Now, at this point, just to facilitate, to put order in our meeting, I would like to appoint Secretary Raul Bino, the Vice President for International Affairs and members of the National Council, for this meeting. Is there any appointment of the moderator? I hear none. So, Mr. Secretary Labino, you're now the designated and appointed moderator for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for accepting it. And Mr. Moderator, can we please proceed with the reading of the meeting's agenda?
There are 5 main topics in the proposed agenda in today's PDP Laban National Council meeting. First is the Chairman's address by no less than our President, Mayor Ray Duterte. Second, again, coming from Duterte, the chairman's report on programs promoted.
Lambino, you're now the designated and appointed moderator for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting it. And Mr. Moderator, can we please proceed with the reading of the meeting's agenda?
There are five main topics in the proposed agenda in today's PDP Laban National Council meeting. First is the chairman's address by no less than our President, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Second, again, coming from President Duterte, the chairman's report on programs promoted and implemented during his incumbency as President of the Philippines. Third is consultation with incumbent elected members from the local government units all over the country on the management of COVID-19 transmissions. And we are going to have here Secretary Nograles and in virtual participation of Chairman Benhar Abalos, and also some of the documents that were gathered from all over the country, manifesto of support for this particular subject. Fourth are administrative matters in preparation for the 2022 national elections. And lastly, other matters for discussion. I so move, Mr. Chairman, that we adopt this agenda, and I think Governor Ibardone, who is now in Zoom meeting, would like to say a few words regarding the five agenda for discussion, Mr. Chairman. So if Governor Ibardone is around, may we hear a few words from you, sir.
Okay, Governor Ibardone is acknowledged by Zoom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, party mates. I would like to congratulate the leadership of the party for calling this meeting in accordance with our constitution. And then I would like to formally move, Mr. Chairman, for the adoption of the agenda for today's National Council meeting, since we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman, and we have convened this meeting in accordance with our constitution, Mr. Chairman. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There is a motion to approve the agenda, adopt and approve the agenda.
May I call on Undersecretary Naik,
Point of order,
who
Mr.
wants to
Chairman.
say something about the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Secretary Sabil Naik.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, any second motion? Do I hear any second
Mr.
motion?
Chairman, I'm raising a point of order.
Move and seconded. Any
Mr.
discussion?
Chairman, I am raising a point of order.
Agenda is adopted for today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'm raising a point of order.
Uh,
According to parliamentary procedures, I should be recognized.
Okay, at this point,
as
I
it is
just
a
want
priority
to
motion.
make some clarification, just for the record. Just for
Point
the
of
record,
order, Mr. Chairman.
council meeting to be convened
Point
since
of order,
President
Mr. Chairman.
Duterte was elected as national chairman of the
Mr.
party.
Chairman, I am raising a point
By
of order.
our moderator, did you know that the first PDP Laban National Convention was held here in Cebu?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
So what we are really doing here is very historical. For this meeting, we will examine
Chairman,
what
point of
we have
order.
accomplished and what needs to be done. The pandemic shall also be addressed, where National Council members or cabinet officials will report on the ongoing
Mr. Chairman,
management of
point
this
of
COVID-19.
order. Point
This
of
meeting
order.
is for the specific purpose
Point of
of
order, Mr.
giving
Chairman.
directions and shall also serve as a preparation for the party to comply with the recent COMELEC resolutions relevant to the conduct of the 2022 national elections, which will be
Mr.
discussed.
Chairman, I am raising
So
Why are you muting me
Point?
when I am raising a point
At
of
this point,
order?
yes, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chairman, there is a point of order being raised by Congressman Teves of Negros Oriental. May I ask the chairman to recognize
Yes, okay.
Congressman Teves
Congressman
for his point of order?
Teves is hereby recognized. Congressman Teves?
Mr. Chairman, kanina pa ako nag-raise ng point of order, minumute ako. Hindi dapat ganon because we should follow parliamentary procedure. Bago pa tayo nag-roll call, I was already raising a point of order and I pressed the raise hand setting in the Zoom app. Anyways, now that I am recognized, good afternoon everybody. Good afternoon, sirs. Especially Sir Alcusi, who is a very good friend of me and my father. Meron lang akong question. I feel very disappointed. I am even angered. And I feel taken for granted for being bypassed. Because Section 60, Article 16, Section 6 says that the Secretary General shall serve written notice. ... I am the Secretary General of the PDP Laban Party. Buhay pa ako, hindi naman ako incapacitated, hindi ko maintindihan bakit hindi ako ang pinapirma sa sulat kung hindi ang kaibigan nating si Melvin. On that note, Mr. Chairman, meron pang isa dito. Article 16, Section 4. On that note, Mr. Chairman, the chairman of the council shall have the following Section 4 functions. One is to coordinate with the president on the agenda of the national council meeting. Council shall have the following. I don't think there was prior coordination with the president on the national on the agenda of the national council. Chairman shall have the following. I don't think there was prior in the meantime coordinate with the president be adjourned. The chairman of the national council.
Mr. Chairman, may I
conclude this?
I object, Mr. Chairman. Object, Mr. Chairman, because I think this meeting is properly convened. Object, Mr. Chairman. Object, Mr. Chairman, because I think this meeting is properly convened. Object, Mr. Chairman.
Respond to the point of order of Congressman Teves. Governor Bardoni, please.
The rules provide that the national chairman can call for a national council meeting. Now, I think that the national chairman has authorized the vice chairman to call for this meeting. And for that reason, I think this national council meeting is in order, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you.
And I also believe that the vice chairman has coordinated with the acting president in accordance with the rules, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Governor Bardoni. Congressman Teves, regarding your query, the provision of the PDP Laban Constitution so speak that only the National Assembly can elect national party officers, which includes the position of Secretary General of the party. Since the resignation of then Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez as the Secretary General of the party, that position has remained vacant. The only authority that can appoint or elect national party officials would be the National Assembly. And therefore, as far as the position of the PDP Laban National Council is concerned, that position remains vacant up to now. And given the fact that Deputy Secretary General Melvin Matibag is now the current Deputy Secretary General with his appointment duly signed as of 2016, then the Deputy Secretary General Matibag is the one recognized to continue functioning as Secretary General of the party, absence the election of a Secretary General. And even with that, Mr. Chairman, may I read the provision of Article 16 of PDP Laban Constitution and Bylaws regarding the National Council under Section 6. It's very clear here, Mr. Chairman. The National Council shall meet quarterly at a date, time, and place fixed by it. The Secretary General shall serve written notice of such meeting at least 10 days before the meeting. And I think written notices were sent by no less than the Vice Chairman, duly signed by the Deputy Secretary General to the members of the National Council for this particular meeting. Second paragraph of Section 6 of Article 16 states, however, any defect in giving notice shall not invalidate the proceedings if a quorum existed therein. There being already a quorum that is called upon, so the meeting of the National Council is in order, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Secretary Lambino. Let's take note of the manifestation made by Congressman Teves. As had been called, the meeting is in order, and we shall proceed.
I have
Thank you.
another point
Okay.
of order, Mr. Chairman.
At this
Mr.
point,
Chairman, I'm raising
before
another point of
proceeding, I would like the
Raising another
Secretariat
point of order, Mr.
to
Chairman.
please, considering that our chairman, President Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, cannot join us physically, I would like to ask the Secretariat to please play the message of our chairman, President Duterte, to the body. Secretariat, please.
Over the years, the PDP Laban has revolutionized our country's political landscape by pursuing genuine reforms and good governance in both the national and local levels. I thus urge all my party mates for staying true to the party's mission, which has always been to prioritize the welfare of our people. As we continue to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic, may we continue to work together in pursuing for initiatives that will strengthen our gains in good governance, especially those that will foster lasting peace and progress for our nation. Again, I call on all of my party mates to stand together and remain united, not by personal interest, but by our principles and values as we chart the future of our party and the rest of the nation. Congratulations at mabuhay ang PDP Laban. Over the years, the PDP Laban has revolutionized our country's political.
Thank you, Secretariat, and let's thank our chairman for giving us that message, that inspiration for us to move with unity and help him address the problems that are being faced by our country today. So we proceed, moderator.
At this point in time, Mr. Chairman, may I recognize may I request that the chair recognizes Undersecretary Asravel Naik, who would like to say something about the issue on an information on parliamentary inquiry.
Okay, our committee chairman for membership is hereby recognized. Madam Mastra.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. First of all, the point of objection that was raised earlier by Congressman Arnie Teves. First of all, as membership committee chairman, I would like to manifest that the National Council has never been in receipt of any appointment regarding Congressman Arnie Teves being the Secretary General. So there is no record in the National Council of him being the Secretary General. And then, Mr. Chairman, considering the explanation pronounced by our moderator to safeguard the interest of the party and its members and to ensure the unhampered preparations to the 2022 national elections, I move that the National Council authorize the duly appointed Deputy Secretary General Melvin Batibag, whose appointments was signed by the President himself, our party chairman, the former President of the PDP Laban, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, and the former Secretary General, Congressman Pantaleon Alvarez, in the interim that the Attorney Melvin Matibag will take the position as acting Secretary General in accordance with Article 17, Section 2, in relation to Section 1 of the Constitution until such time that the National Assembly elect a permanent Secretary General. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There being a motion from Undersecretary Astravel Naik, and there are several members of the council who have seconded it here on the floor. Do we hear anybody from those participating in the virtual meeting of the National Council meeting, a second to the motion of Undersecretary Astravel Naik? Again, the motion of Undersecretary Naik is that for Deputy Secretary General Attorney Melvin Matibag be now appointed as interim Secretary General who shall function as Secretary General pending the election of a permanent Secretary General in the National Assembly to be held later on.
Second the
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, second the motion.
Here, the good Finance Secretary Dominguez seconding the motion. I also heard the good Budget Secretary seconding the motion.
There is the motion properly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. And we have now an acting second in the person of Attorney Melvin Matibag.
At this juncture, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I move for 1 minute suspension to allow our acting Deputy Secretary General to occupy the presidential table?
Yes, that's
Mr.
what I was about to say. To help me in this meeting, I would request the acting section to occupy a seat here at the chairman's table. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Governor of Bohol, Josephine Archap. Good afternoon. 1 minute suspension.
1 minute suspension for Attorney Matibag to occupy the presidential table.
To help me in this meeting. Let's proceed with the proceeding. And at this point, Mr. Moderator, the chairman's report, please.
Yeah, the next item of the agenda, Mr. Chairman. May we hear from acting Secretary General Melvin Matibag for his
Mr. Chair, before we proceed with the next item, I would just like to recognize additional members of the National Committee who just came in from Zoom.
Please proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Governor Matugas is also present in Zoom. Of course, our Deputy Sec-Gen for NCR, Norman Polencio, Congressman Don Gonzales, Congresswoman Rida Robes, DILG Undersecretary Martin Dino, former Congressman Rodolfo Parinas is present also. Region 4 President Mr. Efren Hinwino is present. Governor Jose Alvarez of Palawan is present also. Mario Espinosa of Region 5 is present. Deputy Commissioner Tobias Xavier is also in attendance. Ms. Marjorie Jaramilla is also in attendance. Mr. Emmanuel Lumanaw, President of Region 13 is present. And Ines de la Serna, Region 7 is likewise present, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, ako rin.
Yes, please.
Jen,
I'm sorry. Governor
Congressman Almario, 2nd District, Davao Oriental.
Davao also.
Mario, yes.
Sorry, Congressman.
Present. Thank you.
If you miss anybody, those people on attending via Zoom, if you're not recognized, just please let us know.
Mr. Chair, also I have to acknowledge the presence of PDP Laban mayors from the province of Cebu, and likewise all the elected officers of Cebu who is in support of this meeting, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
And also the City Council of Cebu City, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And you're all welcome to.
Sir.
Mr.
Moderator.
Mr. Chairman, at this juncture, we'll proceed to the next item of the agenda, which is the report of our party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, on the various programs promoted and implemented during his incumbency as President of the Republic of the Philippines. Let's watch and listen via video presentation, Mr. Chair.
Problemang lumarating at lumalagpas. Buksan mo yung isipan sa pagkukulang ng nakaraan mong nakalipas.
Lahat ng gusto ko pwede kong magawa pagdating doon sa Cebu. Wala akong mali na nakikita. Hindi ko na malaya na nagustuhan ko na pala.
Ang ng sarili at kumapit ka lang, hanggang muli at ipagpatuloy mo lang.
Nag-decide po ako na iparehab niyo po ako. Daan-daan, unti-unti ko pong na-realize yung sarili ko na talagang siguro ito na yung time na kailangan ko na magbago.
The President has taken the infrastructure improvement through the build program rightly, which we are seeing like the new airport development and airport development in other regions, not just in Cebu but Bohol and many other places. In the last 3 to 4 years, the traffic at the airport has grown. There are a lot of efforts by the government to improve the tourism. We contributed to that by improving the connectivity to the airport. So I just, around 4 or 5 years back, we had around 7 international destinations connected to Cebu Airport. We have around 22 international destinations connected to the airport. So that helped in, increase in the number of tourist arrivals, which in turn helps in generating employment in the region.
Nabigyan po ako ng trabaho dahil po sa pagtayo ng Terminal 2. Yung nagsimula yung operation, na-hire po ako. Marami pong natulungan, hindi lang ako, kundi maraming tao po. Correct po yung sinabi ni Pangulo na nakatulong po yung mga project niya. Ito po is design talaga ng mga Pilipino, made of wood. Napaka maganda yung quality ng wood, maganda yung quality ng mga structure dito. Yung airport po natin is a friendliest airport destination. Kasi lahat naka-smile po yung lahat ng tao. Marami po tayong mga stores na pwede mabilhan. Parang mall na rin po eh.
Gusto ko kasing magtrabaho din dito balik sa airport kasi alam ko yung atmosphere dito is iba sa mga malls po sa labas. Nagkaroon ako ng maraming opportunity na makilala yung iba't ibang klase ng tao para nalaman ko rin yung mga iba't ibang kultura nila. Nung nagbukas ito, maraming mga stores din na nag-open dito, kaya maraming tao yung nagkaroon ng trabaho dahil dito. Nakaka-proud po talaga kasi yun nga, sabi nila para pong nasa ibang lugar po na airport itong Cebu, kaya masaya.
Noong Agosto 2017, pinirmahan ng Presidente yung RA 10931. So mula June ng 2018, lumawak yung saklaw nito. Libreng tuition, libreng miscellaneous fees, at lumawak din yung mga makikinabang na estudyante. Dati 112 state universities and colleges lang, dinagdagan natin ng 78 local universities and colleges.
Kung hindi po dahil sa free tuition law, hindi ko po alam kung makakagraduate pa talaga ako dahil sa dami po ng mga babayaran namin, sa dami ng gastos.
Yung thought na may babayaran pa akong tuition, wala na po. So, nakatulong po yun sa buhay ng isang estudyante.
Pinasok din yung konsepto ng tertiary education subsidy. Ito ay dagdag na ayuda para sa mga estudyanteng nangangailangan.
Nung nalaman ko po na naging part po ako ng tertiary education subsidy, napakalaking tulong po sa akin. Dahil nga po sa kakapusan ng pera, ako lang po yung nakapagtapos ng kolehiyo. Unexpected dumating po yung TES or tertiary education subsidy nung 4th year. Mas nagka-focus po ako sa pag-aaral ko. Wala na po akong iisipin na, ay, kailangan kong bumangon ng maaga para magtrabaho.
We will produce a Filipino workforce that is better educated, better trained, and highly employable.
Maraming salamat po na naging isa po ako sa scholars ninyo at nilook forward ko po na marami pa pong mga estudyante ang matutulungan ninyo. Maraming salamat po at more power.
First time na yung law na ipinasa was really celebrated by the entire Bangsamoro people.
Allahu Akbar,
we are all supporting the BARM, the leadership. Ito lang ang alam namin na pag-asa namin na ma-achieve yung tunay na kapayapaan dito. Kumbaga sa ito ang hope lang namin.
So, education ang unang-unang priority namin. Kasi nakikita namin, especially the youth, ay hindi nakapag-aral dahil sa conflict, more than 40 years na conflict, maraming hindi nakapag-aral.
Comfortable na kami sa hindi katulad noon na parang palagi lang kami nag-worried na yung lugar namin magulo dito, magulo doon. Matagal na naming hinahangad itong pagpirma ng DOL para nasa kapayapaan po kami para yung mga anak namin makapag-aral ng husto dahil yung dati hindi sila makapag-aral dahil sa magulo.
Siguro kung hindi naging presidente si President Duterte, mahirap pa rin na ma-attain. Pero dahil doon sa very consistent talaga na pag-push niya sa implementation ng agreement, so yun ang naging susi para ma-implement ito.
Universal healthcare law mandates that every Filipino must have an equitable access to quality healthcare services at the time of need without incurring financial risks. Maraming mabebenepisyohan sa UHC law. Una-una, ang mga pasyente, lalo na ang mga mahihirap, ay makakasiguro sila na magkakaroon sila ng mga pangunahing serbisyong pangkalusugan. Pangalawa, yung atin mga healthcare facilities ay makatatanggap sila ng financing para sa mga serbisyo na kanilang pamamalas sa ating mga kababayan. Pangatlo, ang mga doktor, ang mga healthcare professionals ay magaganansyahan din kasi maliban dun sa kanilang sweldo, madadagdagan pa mula sa mga reimbursements ng PhilHealth sa kanilang mga facilities. Wala na silang dapat ikabahala dahil no balance billing policy na sa ilalim ng Universal Healthcare Law. So, ang mga ospital ay hindi na po sila dapat maningil. Ang 90% sa ating mga pampublikong mga pagamutan ay hindi dapat sumingil.
Na-diagnose po ako ng stage 3B rectal cancer. From Taguig Pateros, nirefer po kami sa PGH. Napakalaking tulong po sa amin yung paggamit ng PhilHealth. Kasi ang aking mister as of na wala po siyang work. Kasi nga, naasikaso niya ako yung aming baby.
We are grateful that Aklan is chosen as one of the implementation sites of this law, the Universal Healthcare Law. In partnership with the Department of Health, we have improved the health facilities. We've also trained our healthcare workers para po mas makapagbigay po sila ng quality care and compassion sa ating mga pasyente.
Sobrang shock ako. May port, crowded, ang daming structures. Parang hindi ito yung nakita ko na Boracay before.
No? And then, suddenly, marami pong government agency na bumaba dito. Marami po sila na naghanap ng mga organizations like ours para tulungan, no? Para bigyan ng assistance from the government. So I would say that the closure really did us very good blessings.
Yung katulad namin mga displaced workers, binigyan kami ng listahan kung anong gusto namin na training program na pwede naming i-take advantage. Kung marunong ka, may paraan. May mga taong tutulong at saka ahensya ng gobyerno na pwedeng tumulong sa'yo para makaangat ka.
We wish for our government to continue helping us and we can make a good significance and success will always follow.
Kaya natin makipagsabayan with other countries. Ilang beses nang nahil ang Boracay as the best island in the world. Nirehabilitate siya, hinayo siya. Mas maganda pa siya kesa noon. Mas maayos siya kesa noon.
10:50 in the evening, nagising ako, wala pa siya. Supposedly, 10:30 nasa bahay na siya. Tinawagan ko yung cellphone niya kasi wala pa siya. Nagri-ring na, hindi na siya sumasagot.
Patay ang isang mamamahayag matapos pagbabariling sa Kidapawan City. Kinilala ang biktima na si Eduardo Dizon na isang radio commentator.
The suspects, based on our witnesses' affidavits, are Kappa members who are also media people themselves. The killing of Dizon was officially declared to be related to his work as a media man. The President signed the Administrative Order number 1, creating the Presidential Task Force on Violations of the Right to Life, Liberty, and Security of the members of the media.
This government does not condone violence and repression of media. The bona fide media has always been our partner for change.
Since
the President signed Executive Order Number 2 Series of 2016 back in July 23, 2016, madami ng mga naging development sa ating National FOI program. We have almost all of the 1,000 national government agencies, GOCCs, SUCs, and local water districts with their FOI manuals. And half of that are on our FOI portal, foi.gov.ph. Meaning to say, ang mga kababayan natin can ask information from different government offices online or on paper-based.
Nalaman ko po yung schemes nang pumunta po ako sa Dole po, Legazpi City. Meron daw pong programa yung OWA na sa Pinas, ikaw ang ma'am, sir. Kumbaga, ang pinaka-programa nila, aanhin mo pa sa magtrabaho sa abroad na mayroon naman dito sa Pinas. Tapos dito kaya naman ibigay ng ating gobyerno po. Doon sa NRCO, na-avail ko yung program nila na livelihood assistant. Kakuha po ako ng pangkabuhayan po. Napalaki ko sa dress shop, so nagkaroon ako ng bridal gown ngayon. As in talaga, kumbaga stable, nagkaroon ako ng tahian na parang malit na factory. Aside niyan, ang kagandahan sa ISPIN po, nabibigyan po kami ng chance, mapanindigan namin yung tinapos namin ng course. Hindi lang pala na tapos ka na, tapos babaliwalain mo lang sa ibang bansa na magtrabaho na katulong. Dito, mas pinapahalaga ng ISPIN, pag teacher ka, dapat ka. So, madali naman po ako nakapasok bilang teacher po. Nung nakapasa po ako ng April, nagbalik ako sa OWA. Sabi ko, ma'am, nakapasa na po ako. So, kung mabibigyan niyo po ako, magta-try po ako maging teacher po sa DepEd. Sabi po ng NRCO OWA po, pwedeng-pwede po ako doon sa programa nila. Year 2018, nabigyan po ako ng award na school kit. Yun ay laptop at saka yung printer po. Malaki po yung pasasalamat ko po. Na-establish ko po yung sarili ko. Na dati, wala ka. Tapos ganito na yung life ko. Yung simpleng buhay mo, nabago kaagad. Dito kasi, may trabaho ka na. Yung family mo, nandiyan pa. Yung isip at puso mo, kompleto dyan. Kaya nga po, binigay ni Lord sa akin yung kasagutan sa NRCO po. Kung i-compare ko po siguro, yung buhay ko nun sa ibang bansa dito, di na po ako babalik sa ibang bansa.
Mr. Chairman, the moderator, we have watched and heard the report of the President on the programs promoted and implemented during his incumbency the last 5 years. We have a lot more of this, and we are going to hear some reports of Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. When he was still the chairman of the Committee on Appropriations in the House of Representatives, there were very significant laws that were passed in Congress that really alleviated the plight of our marginalized sector. And we are going to listen to that. But at this juncture, Mr. Chairman, may I move that the National Council of PDP Laban shall give a highest degree of recognition for the efforts of our party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and his government to alleviate the plight of our countrymen in the light of the raging COVID-19 pandemic, which is not going to be over in the next 3 months or in the next 2 years. This is going to continue beyond 2022. Yet the government continues to function, the government continues to work, the government continues to be relevant and significant in the development of this country and in our people's lives. So I so move, Mr. Chairman, that the National Council shall give the highest degree of recognition to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and his government.
Second.
There's a motion to give the highest degree of recognition and support to our chairman. Do I hear second the motion? Everybody
Seconded.
Second.
Seconded as well, Chair.
Second.
Everybody second the motion.
Second.
There is a yes. So the manifesto of support hereby approved and adopted. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's now go to the next item of agenda: the reports of some of our party leaders on the consultations that we have undertaken all over the nation. And at this juncture, may I ask no less than our cabinet secretary, former Congressman Carlo Alexi Nograles, to report on the national experience of the government in consultation with our different local government units and stakeholders.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much to our Vice President for International Affairs, Secretary. Also the acting as moderator today. Maraming salamat, Secretary Raul Ambino. To our Chairman, beloved President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Vice Chairperson Secretary Al Cusi, sa ating Interim Acting Secretary General Melvin Matibag, to our Vice President for Mindanao, DG Charito Plaza, to our OPAV Secretary, Secretary Mike Dino, to all our Chair ng National Committee, Membership Committee, Yusek Astravel Naik, sa kay Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Tol Tolentino, sa ating mga Regional Council Presidents, Regional Secretaries, sa mga kongresista joining us physically, Congresswoman Lollipop Uwano Dizon and Congressman Bingo Matugas, at sa lahat ng mga kongresista joining us via Zoom, sa ating governors led by Governor Gwen Garcia, here present physically, and Governor Art Yap, sa ating mga mayors led by Mayor Ahong Chan and Mayor Jonas Cortez, who are here present, sa ating iba't ibang mga mayors physically present and in Zoom, together with their vice mayors, city councilors, mga sanggunian board members, vice governors, fellow members ng PDP Laban, maayong hapon kanatong tanan. You know, we are a working party, a party constantly working and constantly serving. So today, I have been tasked by the Chair to report on our efforts against COVID-19 and our vaccination deployment plan. Ang assignment na binigay po sa akin, pag-usapan natin ang kailangan nating gawin para talunin ang COVID-19 at ang problema po ng kagutuman. Alam niyo po, ang lahat ng utos na ginagawa natin lahat, hindi lamang sa PDP Laban, kundi sa buong bansa, sa laban against COVID ay nagmula at nagmumula ang lahat mula sa ating chair ng PDP Laban, ating mahal na Pangulo, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Kami po sa IATF ay gumagawa ng mga polisiya at nagbibigay ng rekomendasyon sa ating Pangulo, and this is part of our whole of government efforts against COVID-19. Kabilang na rin po dyan ang iba't ibang mga stakeholders, iba't ibang mga sektor. Pero ang lahat po ng recommendation, binibigay natin kay Pangulo, siya ang kumukumpas, ibababa niya ang kanyang decision, and tayo po sa grassroots, we are there to implement. Ang lahat ng sinasabi ni Pangulong Duterte at paulit-ulit niya sinasabi, implementation on the ground belongs to you, the LGUs, local government units, at syempre pa, wag nating kalimutan ang ating mga barangay kapitan. Ang tagumpay ng ating bansa kontra COVID-19 ay nakasalalay sa kamay ng ating mga LGUs, ating mga governors, kabilang din po dyan ng ating mga barangay kapitan. Kami po ay gumagawa ng guidelines at implementation, pero ang implementation ay nasa LGU po. Gusto kong i-report sa inyo na as of May 30, 4 p.m., DOH reported 7,058 COVID-19 cases. Actually, naagapan na natin ito mula sa napakalaking bilang ng COVID sa bansa nung nakalipas na mga linggo. Maraming salamat sa response ng ating mga LGUs. Inaasahan po natin na sa tulong ng ating mga mayors, governors at lahat ng mga miyembro ng PDP Laban, may pagpatuloy natin na may baba pa ang bilang ng COVID-19 sa ating bansa. The latest data shows 53,757 active cases. That's 4.4% ng total cases. Ngunit subalit ang total recoveries po natin ay nasa 93.79%. Maraming salamat mga mayors at mga barangay kapitan. Sana patuloy po ang paglilingkod at partnership po natin. Kabalikat ang ating national government. Maraming salamat din po sa mga sanggunian members at mga kongresista. Gusto ko rin pong pasalamatan ang mga regional IATF po natin. Na alam naman po natin na napakalaki ng role nila dito sa response against COVID-19. Alam po natin na binigyan natin ng authority ang mga governors at mga mayors na mag-impose ng localized lockdown basta meron pahintulot at coordination sa ating mga regional IATF. Ang localized lockdowns natin hanggang barangay, street level, building level, nasa powers ng LGU po yan. So patuloy lang po tayo sa response natin sa COVID. Dito naman po tayo dumako sa vaccination program po natin. Sabi ng ating mahal na Pangulo, i-kwento ko at i-assure po ang lahat ng mga LGUs dito. Ayon kay Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, sinisigurado po natin at ginagarantisado natin na lahat ng regions, provinces, LGUs, cities, municipalities, 100% po i-deliver po natin ang mga vaccines na kinakailangan po ninyo. Pangako po yan ng ating chair, ang PDP Laban, ang ating mahal na Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Kami ay nagpapasalamat sa mga LGUs na gumawa ng sariling initiatives nila, nag-tripartite agreement, na-purchase na kanilang mga vaccines through tripartite agreement. But again, we would like to emphasize, nag-tripartite ka man o wala, lahat ng LGUs without exemption bibigyan ng bakuna garantisado ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Gusto ko lang din po i-report ng WHO po ay humahanga sa ating ginagawang vaccination program rollout. But again, pinapasabi ni Pangulo, ang tanggumpay ng ating vaccination program ay nakasalalay sa ating mga LGUs. Alam po natin na ang deployment ng vaccines natin, 2 phases po yan, phase-by-phase approach. Alam natin na number 1, it is by sector. Memorize yun na po siguro, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, B at C, at by geographical approach po. So 2 basis po ang pagde-deploy ng ating mga vaccines. At syempre, malaking role po ang governors at mayors po dito. Kasi nasa gobernador at nasa mayor po ang implementation ng vaccination rollout. Magmula po sa inyo ang tinatawag na micro planning at magmula rin po sa inyo ang tinatawag natin na master listing. So kami po ay nakikiusap. Reminder lang po sa mga LGUs natin, patuloy nyo pong ibigay sa national government ang mga master list based on the priority sectors. Pakisabi na rin po sa ating mga constituents, huwag nang tingnan ang brand. Huwag nang tingnan ang brand dahil tanggapin po natin kung ano ang meron. Target po natin 70 million Filipinos by end of 2021. That means December 2021, lahat po 70 million Filipinos ang ating mapapabakunahan. Pakisabi sa mga constituents, ang pinakamabisang brand ay ang bakunang nakaturok sa inyong katawan at braso. As of May 25, 2021, 7,767,290 doses have been delivered across the country out of 8,279,050 doses. 4,495,375 ay na-administer na po. Out of that, 3.466 million sa mga kababayan natin naka-first dose na and more than 1 million ay naka-2 doses na po. Klaruhin ko lang po sa lahat ng LGU, hindi po bawal sa inyo makipag-ugnayan sa private sector sa pagpapabakuna ng constituents. In fact, iniengganyo namin kayo mag-tie up lalong-lalo na sa private sector pagdating sa vaccination sites. Kasi kailangan natin ng regular vaccination sites, kailangan rin po natin ng mga mega vaccination sites. At marami sa mga partners natin ng mga private sector ay nag-o-offer ng kanilang mga locations and venues na privately owned for vaccination sites. In fact, nakalagay po yan sa IRR natin ng Republic Act 11525 or the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act of 2021 kung saan ini-encourage ang LGU at private sector to play a bigger role in the fight against COVID-19 para mapabilis natin ang deployment ng vaccines. Lahat ng kapartido natin ay may kanya-kanyang tungkulin dito sa vaccination rollout. Kaya kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa mga partners, members po natin sa Kongreso, mga kongresista at mga senador. Palakpakan po natin sila sa napakalaking tulong po nila sa Bayanihan to Heal as One Act at sa Bayanihan to Recover as One Act. At sa lahat ng mga ating mga polisiya at recommended na mga legislative bills pending in Congress supported by the congressmen and the senators, especially our PDP Laban members. The national government, together with the local government units, mostly from PDP Laban, the private sector, other stakeholders, we must work together and collaborate to carry out a successful vaccination rollout. Huli na lamang po, isa pang laban na harapin po natin kahit mawala ang COVID-19 ay ang problema po ng kagutuman at malnutrisyon. Itong mga problemang ito, these twin problems, dulot at dala ng COVID-19, hindi lamang sa bansang Pilipinas, kundi sa buong mundo. Kaya ang panawagan namin sa ating mga kapartido na PDP Laban, labanan din po natin ang problemang kagutuman at malnutrisyon. Si Pangulong Duterte ay nag-create ng Task Force Zero Hunger kung saan itong inyong lingkod, Cabinet Secretary, ay tinalagang chair ng Task Force Zero Hunger na binuo ni Pangulong Duterte. At isa sa mga assignments na na-deliver na po namin ang National Food Policy. Itong National Food Policy, nandito po yung pinaka-game plan natin kontra sa kagutuman at malnutrisyon. Marami pong aspeto ang gutom. Meron po tayong action plan sa lahat ng aspetong yan. Mula sa pagtulong sa ating mga magsasaka, sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga kabataan at mga buntis na nanay, especially sa nutrition, sa price stability ng pagkain, accessibility, safety ng pagkain, resiliency ng ating food systems, hanggang sa people participation, kaugnay ng ating mga prinsipyo sa PDP Laban. Lahat po yan ay kasama na sa ating National Food Policy. Hindi ko na po isa-isahin ang lahat ng yan. Tututukan ko na lang po yung isang aspeto at ito yung para sa pinaka-vulnerable sectors of our society. Ang pinag-uusapan po natin dito, mga batang musmos at ang mga buntis na nanay. Alam niyo bakit? Kasi ang ating chair, si Pangulong Duterte, may sinabatas po na first 1,000 days of life. Ibig po yan sabihin ng first 1,000 days of life mula sa conception ng bata hanggang habang siya ay nasa sinapupunan ng nanay, hanggang siya ipanganak, hanggang mag 2 years old, yun po yung pinaka-importanteng unang 1,000 araw ng buhay ng isang tao. Diyan po papasok ang rapid brain development, physical development ng bata. Meron po kaming panawagan sa mga LGUs, mga mayors, mga kapartido natin sa PDP Laban. Suportahan po natin ang programang kontra gutom, kontra malnutrisyon sa first 1,000 days of life. Dito po nakasalalay ang kinabukasan ng ating bansa, ang buhay ng susunod na henerasyon po ng bansang Pilipinas. Meron na po tayong nilunsad na Tutok Kainan program, maliban pa sa DepEd School-Based Feeding Program, maliban sa DSWD Supplementary Feeding Program, ito ang pinakabagong programa ng ating mahal na Pangulo. We are currently doing pilot programs of Tutok Kainan sa ilang mga probinsya at mga bayan sa buong Pilipinas. Samantalang habang ginagawa po natin ang pilot implementation yan, hinihimo ko po ang mga LGUs natin na mag-integrate ng maternal, neonatal, child health, and nutrition programs sa inyong mga local development plans sang-ayon sa inyong local nutrition action plans. Kasi meron tayong Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition, kailangan po matranslate yan sa local plan of action for nutrition sa inyong mga LGUs hanggang sa pinaka-barangay po natin. Ang mga miyembro ng PDP Laban na kinabibilangan ng mga matataas na opisyal ng pamahalaan ay malaki ang naiambag sa ating paglaban sa gutom at sa pandemyang COVID-19. Maraming salamat sa ating mga senators, sa ating mga kongresista, sa ating mga sa kanilang pagbibigay ng Bayanihan 1 at Bayanihan 2, sa pagsuporta nila sa mga panukalang batas at polisiya na sinusuportahan din po ng ating administrasyon. Maraming salamat sa mga gobernador, mga mayors, at lahat ng mga LGUs sa pagiging ama at ina ng inyong mga nasasakupan upang mapangasiwaan at masiguro ang kanilang kaligtasan ng kanilang mga kababayan kontra sa COVID-19. Let us continue observing the minimum public health standards. Let us continue to push our constituents to get vaccinated, encourage more to get vaccinated. But with all the efforts, cooperations, and prayers, I am optimistic that we will be able to stop the spread of this virus and eventually put an end to this pandemic. I encourage everyone to be catalysts towards winning this fight against COVID-19 and against hunger. It is my sincerest hope that we will continue to work together towards recovery. Isa-isip po natin na ang inyong pamahalaan ay tumutugon at walang tigil na nagsisikap para sa kapakanan ng bawat isang Pilipino. Kailangan po natin ang isa't isa. Bigkis po natin ang ating mga diwa at adhikain sa isang hangarin na labanan ang COVID-19 at sugpuin ang kagutuman sa ating bansa. Wala pong maiiwan, lahat kasali, lahat kasalo, at maliban sa panalangin, mga kababayan, kailangan natin magtulungan. Daghang salamat kaniyong tanan ug maayong hapon pag-usab.
Mr. Chair, yes, thank you, Sec. Carlo, for para paliwanag ang hinaharap nating problema sa COVID, sa gutom. That's why last February, nagkaroon na ng panawagan ng partido sa lahat ng mga miyembro na tumulong sa hinaharap na problema ng ating bansa. Hindi tayo pwede na spectator lang. Hindi lang po tayo pwede na tingnan lang at manood kung ano nangyayari. Kailangan po ng suporta ng ating Pangulo. Sabi nga po niya, napakahirap nitong problemang ito. Minsan wala na po siyang magawa, kundi umiyak na lang din. Ano po? So bilang isang pamilya, ang Pilipinas, ang kanya pong pinamumunuan, tumulong po tayong lahat. Tama po yung panawagan ni Sec. Carlo na hindi lang po pandemya ang problema na hinaharap ng ating bayan. Alam po natin na bago po tumakbo si Pangulong Duterte sa pagkapangulo ng 2016, ang nagpapakain na po lagi siya araw-araw sa mga taong walang makain. Nagugutom, kaya doon po sa Davao, doon po sa tagiliran ng Central Bank, meron po siya rin pakainan na laging lahat na magugutom, nandun lang po. At yung eleksyon, ito pong tinatawag natin na community pantry, yan po ay tuloy-tuloy na ginagawa ng ating Pangulo na tahimik lang, na hindi na po niya sinasabi at pinagmamayabang, pero tuloy-tuloy po ang pagpapakain, yung community pantry na ginagawa ng ating Pangulo. At tawag po nga natin, ang partido natin, yung Duterte's Kitchen. Hindi na lang po natin pinagyayabang, pero tuloy-tuloy po. At ako po nananawagan ngayon na sa lahat ng miyembro to give our full support to the program Fighting COVID and Fighting Hunger as explained by Sec. Carlo. Salamat po. Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this juncture,
we'll have to listen to a person who has really personal experience on how to combat COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. Before I recognize the acting Secretary General, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please proceed, acting second.
I was just informed so that we have to acknowledge the presence of our Executive Secretary Salvador Bimbo Mijaldea is joining us via Zoom, Mr. Chair. Also,
Let's give Executive Secretary
Good afternoon, sir.
a big hand, please.
also Assistant Secretary Kim Raisa Uy of the Office of Executive Secretary. And Mr. Moderator, Mr. Chair, may we allow Secretary Mike Dino to speak before Secretary Benar Abalos of MMDA because he has to catch up light. So
Yes.
Secretary Abalos will be allowed.
Before I recognize Chairman Abalos, may I first recognize,
Yes,
may I ask the Chair to first recognize Secretary Dino? Mr. Chair.
Secretary Dino is hereby recognized. Please proceed.
Daghang salamat po, Mr. Vice Chairman. I'd like to welcome all the PDP officers and members. Everyone has been acknowledged already para hindi na masyadong mahaba. Officers and members of PDP na lang. I was just told that I need to speak about what the President has done here in the Visayas. Let me be very, very clear. I-zoom in ko na lang sa isang programa ni President Rodrigo Roa Duterte at kay Senator Kuya Bongo. Ito po yung malasakit centers. The establishment of malasakit centers all over the country. And it is very timely, very relevant nowadays. Ano po yung malasakit center? Ang malasakit center po ay isang center na pinukumpul-kumpul na po yung 4 na ahensya. PCSO, DOH, DSWD, and PhilHealth. Normally kasi po, when you get sick, especially yung sa marginalized sector of our society, una pupunta sila kay Mayor, una sila pupunta kay Governor, hingi ng tulong. Yun ang palaging patakaran. At the same time, hingi pa yan ng note galing sa Mayor, galing sa Governor para unahin sila sa mga public hospitals. But this time around, we have already opened 116 malasakit centers all over the country. Salamat po, Mr. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Senator Kuya Bongo, daghang salamat. Ano po yun? Let me go back. Alam mo, basic needs ng simple lang naman, may pagkain ka, may shelter, clothing, etc. But honestly, kapag magkapamilya mo, ubos ang pera mo talaga. Out of balance talaga ang Pilipino. Yun ang pinakamahirap para sa atin. Yun ang something that we do not expect. So, nandyan yung malasakit center. Especially now, COVID times, nandyan yung malasakit center. I mentioned the 4 agencies. Tutulong sila sa inyo. Maybe, let's say, may bill ka na 65,000. Magbibigay yan, tagsatang 10,000. PhilHealth, 10,000. PCSO, 10,000. DSWD, 10,000, etc. Si Presidente naglagay po dyan, buwan-buwan, replenishable yan, buwan-buwan. Iba-ibang figure depending on your bed space capacity. Naglalagay siya ng 5 milyon sa isang hospital. Paminsan, 10 milyon. Sa PGH, alam ko 100 million every month yan. So kung kulang pa ang binigay ng mga agencies na yon, nandyan yung fund na binigay ni Presidente dyan para ang aim ng malasakit center is zero balance ang babayaran, zero balance billing. So with these malasakit centers, hopefully we will still open, I think before end of the year, hopefully we can still open 30 malasakit centers. So hindi na pipila kasi si Presidente ayaw niya makita pumipila, naiinitan yung mga kapwa Pilipino natin. Ayaw niya tingnan yan. So dito, nasa loob na yung malasakit centers mismo sa hospitals. So hindi ka na pupunta today, pumunta pa sa PCSO, following day, punta ka sa PhilHealth, following day, punta ka sa DSWD, DOH, at maghintay at magpila. doon na kayo pumunta sa loob ng malasakit center, ay condition pa, wala nang pila masyado. Tapos nandiyan na yung 4 na ahensya. So, yun lang ang masabi ko that please, sabi ni Presidente, sabi ni Kuya Bongo, please use malasakit center. Kasi pera nyo yan, binabalik lang daw nila yan sa taong bayan. So dagang salamat po at maayong hapon.
Thank you, Sec. Dino. Si Senator Bongo is a PDP. He is our auditor. So as a national officer, auditor po siya. No, and he just begged up to attend this meeting so that he will not be misunderstood for anything. So the Malasakit Center is doing a good deeds for our kababayan. Sabi nga po ng mga nakakausap natin mga tao, hindi na sila ngayon nagtatagal. Pag may nanganak, kulang ang pera, nakakalabas na agad. Hindi na sila nagtatagal doon. So let's acknowledge the good job done by Senator Bongo to the country and for the party. Let's give him a big hand, please. So, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Chairman, before I ask the chair to recognize Mayor Bernard Abalos, I'm just informed that the whole Bulacan Council in different municipalities and cities are also in the Zoom. I'm also informed of the Mayor of Palayan City, Nueva Ecija, Mayor Cuevas, are also in the Zoom, and they are now observing these proceedings. Mr. Chair, may I ask the chair to please recognize the chairman of the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, former Mayor Bernard Abalos, to talk on the NCR experience. And he is a person who has actually experienced how you can be affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chair. Yes, just want to inform the body that Governor Gwen and Secretary Dino have to leave for Manila because they have a scheduled meeting with the President. So we have to excuse them. And can we now recognize Sec MMDA Chairman Abalos?
Maraming salamat. Hello. Maraming salamat, Co-Chairman Alcusi. Of course, gusto kong pumati sa ating mahal na Presidente, Pangulong Duterte. And of course, ang ating Acting Sec-Gen Melvin, sa lahat po ng mga PDP Laban officials. At gusto ko rin yung batiin si Senator Tolentino, Senator Bato de la Rosa, of course, si E.S. Villaldia, Secretary Dominguez, Secretary Wendell Abisado, Secretary Carlos Nograles, Secretary Mike Dino, sa lahat po ng ating mga governors, mga congressman, mga alkalde, sa lahat po na opisyales ng PDP Laban, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Itong hapon na ito ay gusto ko sanang i-share sa inyo yung experience namin dito sa Calacang, Maynila, dahil parang isang masamang panaginip po ito. No? Talagang itong mutation na to, gusto kong makita ninyo kung anong damage ang ginawa po sa amin. At halos 2 buwan kung ano po ang ginawa namin at kung nasaan na po kami ngayon. No? Just let me share this to you. No? Ito pong screen na ito. Saan? Okay. So ito po ang aking report ngayon, ang MMDA in the time of pandemic. National Capital Region Experience. Okay. So, nung pong February 22, ang talagang cause nito ay sinasabi nila pababayaan ng tao. Pero ang sabi po nung genealogy report, ang malaking bahagi nito ay itong tinatawag na Yukon variant at ang South African variant. Ito po ang, tingnan niyo po ang datos nito. Noong February 22 ay halos 3,600 lamang. No? Pagkatapos nung bandang March 3, naging 5,006 at biglang pumalo po ito ng 24,000. Kung titignan po natin, ito'y February Actually, no February, halos mag-aano na ho kami nito, magmamodified GCQ na kami eh. Pero napigil lang kami ng ating Pangulo, sinabi sa amin, wag muna, no, GCQ muna kayo. And true enough, kumarat itong variant na to. Tignan niyo po ang damage na ginawa sa Kalakang, Maynila. And so, ito'y pamula March 29 hanggang April 11, nagdeklara na kagad ng ECQ ang IATF. Inulit ko po, itong mga ganitong status, ang may final say ay ang Presidente. Kung kaya't malaki ang pasalamat namin dahil through all of these years, the President has been the guiding force, no? Is the guiding force behind this. Kung paano niya po talaga yung mga desisyon na tama, siya po talaga ang gumagawa po nito. Ngayon, of course, walang kapalit dito sa intensive PDITR. Ito po yung ginagawa naman po nating lahat. Itong prevention, minimum health protocols. At nung detection po, talagang bumuhos po ang halos 50,000 na swab namin dito. Ito yung during the period of ECQ, no? Talagang kinontrol po namin ang gusto ito, no? Ito po yung talagang top of the list ng LGUs ng Kalakang, Maynila. Ito po yung mga numbers na in-isolate po namin at hindi lamang ngayon sa treatment, napaka-essential po na tinatawag namin One Hospital Command. Ito po ay patakbo po ito ng DCDA kasama Department of Health. Tumutulong po MMDA dito. Nang sa ganoon ay tinatawag ang mga may pasyente at dinidirect sila sa mga tamang ospital, hindi lamang sa Kamaynilaan, kundi sa mga kapitbahay po namin. Dahil talaga nag-uumapaw po ang mga hospital po noon. Of course, importante, no, ang border control, ang curfew, and of course, ang data evaluation. Itong border control, anong ibig sabihin po dito? Ako'y nagpapasalamat, no, sa governor ng Rizal, ng Bulacan, ng Cavite at Laguna. Bakit po ito? Dahil ito po'y sinama ng IATF dahil humingi ng tulong ang aming mga alkalde na halos labas-pasok po sa Metro Manila. So halos nung habang kami ay gumagamot dito, ni-request namin na baka pwedeng lakihan namin ang borders namin. And true enough, umaksyon kagad ang IATF dito at sinama na ho sa Kalakang, Maynila ang mga region na yun. Kaya malaki ang pasalamat namin sa governors, sa mga mayors po ng mga kapitbahay namin. Ang Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite at Rizal. Tapos yun, talagang mga mayors ng Kalakang, Maynila, gumawa po kami ng curfew. No, talagang dalawa halos, talagang nilimit po namin ito. And of course, we're always guided by data. Ang data po ng DOH, ang data ng OCTA, and of course, ang ating economic team. No? Tignan nyo po ngayon, after so many times, no? So dumaan na po tayo sa ito po ang Metro Manila COVID situation ngayon, May 30. Ang pinakamataas po namin, kitang-kita rito ay May 17. Ngayon bumagsak na ang kaso rito dahil sa ginawang ito. From 14,000, kita nyo lang, halos 10,000 na lang itong May 30. No? Halos talagang pababa pa ho hanggang ngayon. Nagpaplato ngayon pero pababa. Ngayon kung titignan po natin dito, importante rito, ang tanong ngayon ay anong mga klaseng polisiya meron tayo? Dahil mahirap naman kung puro paghihigpit ang gagawin namin. Of course, at this stage, we are then guided, hindi lamang ng DOH, but most importantly, ang aming economic team. Nagpapasalamat po ako, andito ngayon si Secretary Sunny Dominguez, no, ng Finance. Of course, si Secretary Carl Chua po, no? Si Secretary din po ng ating DTI, Simon Lopez, Secretary ni Berna po ng DOT. Dahil nagkatulungan sila na ang aming pong polisiya rito ay slowly but surely, and of course, andun kagad ang caution. Kung titignan po natin sa Kalakang, Maynila, ang experience namin in 2 months, dumaan muna kami sa mahigpitang ECQ. Ano yung ECQ? Talaga itong 2 linggo, walang labasan ng bahay. Dito talaga, nagbigay pa ng ayuda ang ating mahal na presidente. Napakabigat itong panahon na ito. Sumunod dito ay tinatawag na Modified Enhanced Quarantine. No? At sumunod ay ang MECQ pero with flexibility. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Nag-open kami ng konti. And then, dumating ang GCQ with heightened restrictions. Now, just to show you, ito po ang mga definition nito. I will not delve into this, no? Pero kung titignan po natin, bawat classification ay napakahigpit. Napakahigpit po niyan. Ngunit, ito problema. Meron kang mga in-between. Not necessarily 50%, 30% kasi nga ang game plan is slowly but surely and with caution eh. Kaya nga doon pumapasok yung tinatawag natin MECQ flexible or heightened GCQ. No? So ito po more or less yung mga definition nito mga GCQ with heightened restrictions. No? Ngayon, in short, lahat po yan ay nasa table na ito. Ito po ang nagdala sa amin magmula ng MECQ na kung saan ang ECQ, alam naman natin, mahigpit ito. Ang pwede lamang ang essential services, ang essential business, no, pati ang mobility, naging MECQ, no? Dito po kami dumaan. So nakita nyo 10% more or less yung mga religious activities, etc. etc. Sumunod nagkaroon kayo ng hybrid, ito yung flex, GCQ with heightened restrictions. So dito nyo makikita yung mga pagkakaiba at anong ginawa ka ng Kalakang Maynila at lalong-lalo na ng ITF na mga definition na ito ay binawasan niya. No, nagkaroon ng adjustments. Pero alam nyo, napakaganda na nangyari rito. Dahil talagang bumaksak na ang kaso namin, pero nag-iingat pa rin kami ngayon. Bukod po rito, ano naging sikreto? Ito po, sa aming lugar ay 17 LGUs po kami. No? Ang naging ano rito ay iisa lamang ang boses namin. Iisang boses namin pagdating sa mga major policies, kamukha mo itong curfew na ito na pinasa namin, kamukha po ng mga edad na pinasa namin, kamukha ng pagsususpend dati ng mga personal care. No? Tapos ito na naman, panibaging curfew. Tapos yung mga community pantry, meron din po salita lahat ng alkalde ng Kalakang Maynila rito. Again, curfew na naman ito. So dito po, we vote as one. Pero ang importante sa lahat, yung guiding force namin ang ating Pangulo. No? Siya po ang final arbiter ng lahat ito. Ano pong ibig ko sabihin? Sa atin, ang sikreto dito ay pagtutulungan. Sa ngayon po, tama po si Sec. Nograles, ang kailangan naman natin ngayon ay ang bakuna. Nagbabakuna po ngayon kami rito. Siguro in about 3 or 2 months talagang baka dumami, hindi natin masabi. Pero ngayon pa lang ay pinaghahandaan namin. Ang Robinsons at Shoemart, hindi lamang ho nagbigay sila ng tinatawag na mall, higit sa lahat yung kailangan mga doktor at nurses. Nakahingi po kami sa kanila. At hindi po lamang yun, tumutulong din po sa atin yung tinatawag na T3. Ano ito? Ito po yung mga businessmen, sila Bill Luz, ito pong Ayala, yung mga kalaban na Jollibee at McDonald, no? Yung private, nakaisa sa gobyerna. Paano? Para ma-compute yung mga darating na bakuna para wag masira. Araw-araw nagmi-meeting po ang mga tiga-gobyerno, mga mayors, hanggang po sila. So ito po yung makikita natin bayanihan, pagtutulungan ng lahat, ng gobyerno, lahat po ng opisyales at ng private. Of course, ang ating presidente po ang nag-lay down po ng lahat ito. Siya po ang sa mga major policy issues, siya po ang nagdideklara nito, kaya malaki po ang utang na loob po namin sa kanya. Sa inyong mga lahat, sa mga members ko na PDP Laban, sana maksipano ay nakipag-share po ako sa naging experience po namin dito sa Metro Manila. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat, Chairman Abalos. You're doing a very good job for our people in Metro Manila. The moderator, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this juncture, we would like to hear also from one of the stalwarts of the party, the Vice President for Mindanao, who is also the Director General of the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, to give us a few words on what PEZA has been doing for our economic workers, which President Rodrigo Roa Duterte declared during his Labor Day address last May 1st as economic frontliners, Mr. Chairman. So may we hear from the Director General, the real General Reserve, Director General Ching Plaza.
Okay, DG Plaza, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our distinguished members of the PDP Laban National Council and our distinguished senators, cabinet members, our congressmen, our governors, mayors, at sa lahat po ng mga tunay at totoong kapamilya, kapuso ng PDP Laban. Mr. Chairman and all my fellow National Council PDP Laban members, ito pong nakatayo sa inyong harapan ay isa po sa mga orihinal na mga nakikipaglaban who shed tears, sweat, and love to our President Rudy Duterte. Kaya po sa puso namin, kailangan ay makapag-contribute tayo sa administrasyon ng ating mahal na Pangulo sa pamamagitan ng ating mga programa at proyekto na makapagbigay ng kaunlaran, kapayapaan sa ating bansa at sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino. Mr. Chairman and fellow members, I am proud to say that we did a record-breaking investment promotion in the Philippines, starting with the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte in 2016. So ngayon po, dahil sa ating the trust and confidence showed by the investors, both foreign and local investors, to our government, the administration of our president, we're happy to inform everyone na ang PESA, ang ating mahal na bansang Pilipinas, ay nirerespeto na po ng buong mundo. We are globally competitive in terms of investment, promotion, in terms of export income, in terms of employment. Ito po dahil sa independent foreign policy of the President. First time po na nangyayari sa Pilipinas ng ating bansa sa pamamagitan ng liderato ng ating mahal na Pangulo ay handa nang tumanggap o tinatanggap ang buong mundo, ang mga investors sa buong mundo. Kasi dati po hindi pa panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, pinipili natin yung investors. Takot tayong mag-invite ng mga taga-China kasi yung ating old school of thought na baka ito ang magsusuporta si China sa mga NPA, mga terorista. No? Takot tayong mag-imbita sa taga-Middle East o mga Muslim investors dahil akala natin ito yung sila ang tumutulong sa mga terorista. Takot tayong mag-imbita sa mga Russians dahil ito ang immediate or direct enemy of the US. No? So ito po yung mga old school of thoughts na natanggal na po lahat dahil sa independent foreign policy of President Duterte. The country is now very attractive to the global investors. So nitong nangyaring pandemya, Mr. Chairman, mga kasamahan ko sa PDP Laban National Council, we are very proud to tell everybody, because of the continuing trust and confidence of our investors, parang walang pandemya sa ating mga economic zones. We continue to grow, created new and different types of eco zones, and continue to attract investors to our economic zones. So ngayon po, sa Duterte administration, we were able to create 1.6 million directly provided with jobs in our 413 economic zones and 4,856 export companies. Mr. Chairman, yung 1.6 million, ito yung direct na bigyan ng trabaho sa ating mga ecozones. Sa NEDA ratio po, for every one direct job, there are 6 indirect jobs created by our ecozone service providers. No? Ito yung ibang investors as suppliers, trackers, brokers, and everybody doing business in our ecozones. So if you multiply every direct job times 6, Mr. Chairman, we have created 9.2 million direct and indirect jobs in our ecozones. Magpapasalamat din po kami kay Pangulong Duterte dahil sa kanyang issuance of AO 18, Administrative Order 18, which mandates that we should accelerate progress, address the poverty alleviation, especially in the countryside, by creating and spreading the creation of special economic zones in our provinces and cities in the countryside nationwide. Kaya po ngayon, Mr. Chairman, tuwang-tuwa po ang ating mga local government units because finally, magkaroon na sila ng ecozone, and the importance of the ecozone is that this will attract more investors because dito po ibibigay yung mga incentives para sa mga investors pag sila po ay nasa loob ng economic zone. And with the new CREATE law, thanks to the economic team led by Secretary Dominguez, ay lalo nating mapalawak ang mga incentives ng ating not just foreign investors but also local investors upang ang bawat Pilipino ay makakontribute in making the country peaceful and progressive through the creation of economic zones. Mr. Chairman, nais ko pong pasalamatan ang ating Pangulong Duterte, Senator Bongo, ang ating mga presidential advisors in the various areas of the country, of course, Secretary Carlo Nograles, dahil po nag-commit po sila. No? Unang-una, nangyari po itong commitment na tumulong sa ating economic zone workers and educators na bibigyan sila ng free COVID vaccine. Kasi po sila ang economic frontliner. Sila po yung nagpapatuloy sa mga trabaho, mga negosyo despite the pandemic. Kasi po during the lockdown, while the domestic enterprises were closed because of the domestic lockdown, it's our export companies in PESA and other investment promotion agencies who continue with their jobs, with their operation. 90 to 98%, Mr. Chairman, are still operational dahil po sa tulong ng ating mahal na Pangulo ay patuloy nating binigyan ng business assistance and reliefs ang ating mga investors. At ito pong latest, magpasalamat ako kay Mayor Ahong Chan, no? Siya po ang unang-unang nag-offer ng free vaccine to the ecozone workers, no? And this was followed by the commitment of Secretary Dino, the presidential advisor for the Visayas, na hindi lang Lapu-Lapu City, hindi lang Cebu, kundi buong Visayas na mga ecozone workers will now be given free vaccine. I also got the commitment of Secretary Raul Lambino for his request, and Secretary Carlo Nograles for all the presidential advisors of the entire country to do the same by asking the IATF to provide free COVID vaccine to all our economic frontliners, not just in PESA's economic zones, but in all the IPAs of the country. So thank you, Mr. President. Nagpatuloy po ang trust and confidence ng mga investors sa atin. In fact, comparing the export income that they have contributed to the country last year, we got $12.91 billion of export income last year. Ngayon po, first quarter of 2021, ay lalong tumaas. Tumaas po ng 54% ang ating income, ang ating investment sa ating mga economic zones. And that shows, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, that the investors, both foreign and local investors, and every Filipino has given their trust and confidence to the leadership of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Mahal na Pangulo, patuloy po ang pagmamahal namin sa inyo, kaya po nais namin na ituloy natin ang kapayapaan at kaunlaran sa inyo pong liderato. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, DG Plaza, and thank you for sharing the good news. And it's good to know that the world is respecting the Philippines and looking at us as a place to invest. So, Secretariat, Acting Secretary, can you please take note of the report shared to us by DG Plaza? Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the most important actions taken by the President and the administration is the fight against the local communist insurgency in the country. Despite all the efforts of the government to talk with our brothers who continue fighting the government for peace talks, it seems that no direction will happen that way. And so the President, together with our armed forces of the Philippines, the Department of National Defense, the National Security Council, the Department of Interior and Local Government, and the local government units of the country, adopted the so-called LCAC, End Local Communist Armed Conflict. At this juncture, Mr. Chair, may I request the Chair to recognize some of our PDP Laban stalwarts, starting with Governor Mick Petilla, to talk about the experience of the local government unit in the fight on insurgency in the province. And then here is with us Governor Archap, the province of Bohol. It's also another insurgency area before. And maybe perhaps Governor Ibardone of Eastern Samar, if he's still in the Zoom meeting, to talk later on. So may I ask the Chair to recognize first Governor Petilla, to be followed by Governor Archap, and then Governor Ibardone. But before that, Mr. Chair, may I acknowledge the presence.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moderator, before you proceed, first I'd like to ask to Zoom and to acknowledge that we acknowledge Speaker Alan Lord Velasco, who is participating in this meeting via Zoom. So
big
can
hand
the
to Speaker.
Secretariat please zoom in Speaker Velasco. So anyway, if you're working on that yet, thank you, Speaker, for joining this National Council meeting of PDP. Moderator, yeah.
Mr. Chair, as I was saying, the PDP Laban National Council meeting is joined by our PDP Laban overseas chapters all over the world. And we have the PDP Laban chapter of Qatar, Mr. President of the Council, Joseph Rivera. And we would like also to inform everyone, and we note the efforts of the PDP Laban leadership to take care of our overseas Filipino workers. I understand that the Overseas Filipino Workers Act, creating the Department of FW, has already been passed in the House of Representatives. Let's give hands to our members of the House of Representatives and their leadership with Speaker Velasco, and our senators, especially Senator Bongo, Senator Bato, De La Rosa, Senator Tolentino, and the other senators who are supportive of these efforts, Mr. Chair. So again, Mr. Chair, this juncture, may I ask for the Chair to recognize Governor Petilla.
Governor Petilla, you're hereby recognized.
Mr. Chair, maraming salamat sa ating mga secretaries, sa ating mga all the officers, no, mga present today, at saka yung mga kapartido ko. Siguro hindi ko lang mapaglipas yung pinakamalaking accomplishment ni President Duterte sa province of Leyte, kasi parang hindi na-mention kanina, no? Yung laban sa insurgency. On March 2019, merong nag-surrender dito ng mga 1,200 people, including 262 na mga regulars, no, regulars and militia ng bayan, parang gano'n. And then a month later, nag-usap kami kung ano ang mga hinaing nila. And then marami silang mga sinabi, yung water system daw nila, yung kahirapan nila, yung hanap buhay, at saka yung iba sa kanila kasi nakatira, squatters, karamihan sa kanila mga squatters sila doon sa isang hacienda, kaya nagkakagulo. So yun yung mga hiningi nila. And one time after that, mabuti na lang na-approach ko si Senator Bongo to relay a message kay Presidente. And then, to cut the long story short, ako po hindi papasalamat talaga kay Presidente kasi meron ng 262 houses na kinukonstruct ngayon dito sa Leyte para sa kanila. Joint kami with the province, ang lupa kami nag-provide. And then, ang tawag namin dyan, ang Peace and Prosperity Village. And then, kasama sa lupa nila yung garden lot, no? Garden para sa pagtatanim, pag-ano nila. And then, meron ng mga water systems na kinakabit din sa mga barangays na sakop sa sa conflict. So sa katapos-tapusan, in the end, ang Leyte po ay talagang totally insurgency free na kahit yung commander nila dito sa Leyte, kasama namin sa LCAP, kasama namin sa provincial LCAP na mag-implement ng mga programs natin para doon sa mga conflict barangay. So kung tutuusin, wala talagang natira. Lahat ng mga na nagsumama sa insurgency on the part of the NPA, dito sa Leyte, talagang lahat sila talagang nandito na sa panig ng gobyerno. Again, dahil yan talaga sa kung kami lang sa province, hindi namin makakayanan ito. Pero with the avid support ng ating presidente, na pumunta pa doon sa San Isidro Leyte para bigyan ng mga benepisyo ang ating mga former rebels, mga surrender. Sa ngayon po, maganda ang takbo ng nila ng buhay. Maraming mga anak nila ay nag-aaral na. Iniisa-isa na rin natin ang malnutrition. May report kanina si Secretary Nograles, no? Sec, by the way, ang province of Leyte from 25% malnutrition rate, we are down to 6%. 6% na lang. And then, yung food sufficiency ng province of Leyte despite of the pandemic, we are producing much more food than we can consume sa province of Leyte. Marami tayong nagre-rely din ng mga neighboring areas na dito rin kumukuha ng pagkain. So, siguro karamihan ng mga kababayan natin with the support din ng mga national agencies, no? Yung mga livelihood programs including sa ating mga former rebels, ang TESDA, of course, ang DTI, ang DSWD, ang DOLE, lahat yan, yung mga livelihood programs talagang binuhos dito ni President Duterte sa Leyte. Maraming nakinabang. So na-achieve natin ang food sufficiency, na-achieve natin ang insurgency free, at saka na-achieve din natin ang report din si Secretary Nograles kanina parte sa maternal mortality. Okay, ang maternal death, neonatal death, lahat yan, yung infant death, malnutrition rates, lahat yan na-accomplish natin ang Millennium at saka Sustainable Development Goals. And hindi yan mangyayari kung kami lang dito sa province, definitely. Malaking talaga ang naitulong ni President na ako medyo natatouch talaga ako diyan kasi despite na originally hindi ako kapartido, alam niyo naman diyan lahat, no? And then although PDP ako nung college ako, nung panahon ng martial law, I was with the PDP. So again, despite of that, tinulungan pa rin niya ang province of Leyte. So I think everybody ought to know sa ginawa ni Presidente dito sa amin. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Governor Pitilla. And we recognize, we duly take note of the report that you've shared, and I instruct the Secretariat to please incorporate that in our report. Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair, may I ask for Governor Archap to say a few words of his experience in the province of Bohol?
Yes, Governor Yap is hereby acknowledged, recognized.
Salamat, sir. Secretary Cusi, to Secretary Carlo Nograles, to Melvin Matibag, our Deputy Secretary General, my good friend, former Congressman Jonas Cortez, my classmate, former classmate sa House, to all our national officials, local officials sa PDP Laban. Maayong hapon ka natong tanan. A week ago, I attended the RPOC meeting in Dumaguete City, sir, where the president gave orders and gave the instruction that there will be no concessions, nor power sharing, nor any quarters given to the CTG. Within 24 hours, sir, we were on the ground. The 47th IB scored a victory against CTG forces. Out of 11 heavily wanted CTG members, we were able to deliver at least 5 dead from that 11 most wanted list. And I would like to thank the president for the support that he is giving us. And I'm writing the president on this issue, and at least letting him know that Bohol is doing its part against the LCAC, and we are also awaiting the support that he has committed to the province of Bohol. But all through the last 2 years, we are very much thanking him for all the guidance that he has been giving us, especially sa issue sa LCAC. I'd also like to thank the national government and the president for accepting in that meeting, sir, the proposal of Bohol that maybe we can start looking at reopening certain key tourism destinations so that we can do our part in economic recovery. Thailand is not concentrating on reopening the entire Thailand. They're concentrating only in Phuket. Indonesia is concentrating only in Bali. They're not concentrating on reopening the entire country of Indonesia to tourism. Maybe in our country, considering that there are some tourism destinations that are ready to really open up, kung pwedeng ma-advance lang natin yung vaccination sa mga lugar na to, baka matulungan na we can create a model for reopening certain destinations in our country so that through this, we can do our part. Mabuhat mi sa among parte na we will do our part in economic recovery efforts of our country. So nagpapasalamat po ako sa Presidente sa RPOC meeting when he accepted that proposal. And they are giving this consideration at the highest levels of government right now. So that just shows that the President is really, he is all over the place. To the extent humanly possible, he's really giving attention to each and every concern. Especially very sensitive siya sa mga request ng mga governors and mayors, being a former long-serving LGU head, no, local chief executive. Damang-dama niya at saka naiintindihan niya yung mga pangangailangan at saka kung hanggang saan makatulong yung local governments. No? So we would like to thank the President for all of these efforts. And at this point in time, we wish him well from Bohol, and we wish all the cabinet and all the officials, especially the hardworking members of PDP, Laban. Bohol is supporting all of you. And at the right time, we are going to welcome you should you wish to come and visit us. And our prayers are and our support are with you. Daghang salamat, sir.
Daghang salamat, Governor Art, and nice to hear the success of LCAC under the leadership of our president in really fighting insurgency and to have peace in our country. Because alam naman natin, pag karoon ng katahimikan, mas maraming mag-i-invest at maraming mag-ninegosyo dito sa ating sa inyong lalawigan sa Bohol, at hindi lang po sa lalawigan ng Bohol but sa buong Pilipinas. So again, likewise, we would like the Secretariat to take note of and incorporate the report shared by Governor Yap.
Mr. Chair, at this juncture, considering that most of our members in the House of Representatives and the Senate will have their session in a few minutes, we can dispense with calling Governor Ibardone at this point in time, but later on, we are going to recognize him for some more words in the agenda. At this point, Mr. Chair, I am in possession of several manifesto of support coming from the different chapters of PDP Laban, coming from different local government units, coming from different sectors. And may I read these manifesto of support, Mr. Chair. Please proceed. PDP Laban, kaisa ng Pangulo para sa patuloy na pagbabago manifesto of support. Since 2016, the government under the able leadership of Party Chairman President Rodrigo Duterte has made great strides in its battle against scores of drugs, terrorism, insurgency, corruption, and poverty, etc. These are now being flashed on the screen, Mr. Chair, and I did not read the entirety of this manifesto of support. I just want to read the last part of the manifesto, Mr. Chair. We are confident that by continuing the economic programs and infrastructure projects established under the Duterte administration, our country's recovery from the crippling effects of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Mr. Chair, we ask members of the National Council to support this manifesto of support that emanated from different chapters. To national and local elections. At this juncture, may I ask the Acting Secretary General, Attorney Melvin Matibag, to please inform the body of the significant dates of the COMELEC Resolution 10695 and for discussion, Mr. Chair.
Yes, but before we acknowledge the acting section, I'd like to highlight the importance of these dates that we need to comply with, especially the those people that are running for an elective position. So we're taking this as a preparatory for the 2022 electoral exercises. So, acting section, can you please present to the body the dates?
Yes, Mr. Chair, with your permission. Please take note of the following dates based on the COMELEC Resolution number 10695. August 15, 2021 will be the last day of currently registered political party or coalition of political parties to submit sworn information update statement. So since it's a Sunday, the deadline will be August 16. September 1, 2021, holding of political conventions, parties to select and nominate official candidates for all elective positions. September 28, 2021, as amended by Section 13 in relation to Section 13. And on September 30 will be the last date to submit lists of authorized signatories with specimen signatures from political parties and coalition. And on October 1 to 8 will be the filing of certificate of candidacy for all elective position and filing of certificate candidacy nomination and acceptance, Mr. Chair. Those are the dates that we should take note, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Acting Section. Any questions? If there's no questions on the dates mentioned, just again, reiterate the importance of these dates. Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we go to the next item of the agenda, may I ask the Chair to recognize Secretary Noel Belonco of the National Anti-Poverty Commission. May I request you, sir, to please join the to please come up the stage and join the presidential table.
Please join us here at the chairman's table.
The next item of the agenda is very important, Mr. Chair, which is the convening of the PDP Laban National Assembly. Mr. Chair, the setting of the National Assembly is significant because, as we all know, we have already mentioned this, there are vacant positions in the party. And also, it is in the National Assembly that we have to select who would be our standard bearers in the forthcoming 2022 national election. It is for this reason that we are asking now the National Council, pursuant to the provision of the PDP Laban Constitution and bylaws, to please set the date of the holding of the National Assembly, as well as the venue where we are going to hold this National Assembly in preparation for the 2022 elections. And if I may so state, Mr. Chair, the powers of the National Assembly pursuant to the provisions of Article 18, Section 3 of the PDP Laban Constitution as follows. First, formulate and adopt policies, plans, programs of the party, as well as positions on various international and national issues. Approve, propose amendments to this party constitution. Nominate and proclaim the party's official candidates in the national elections. Revise, alter, modify, or repeal any resolution, decision, action taken by the National Council or by the National Executive Committee. Nominate and elect national officers and national committee chairmen of the party. There is a suggestion, Mr. Chair, that the National Council meeting also will hold its third quarter meeting this year, which will be held on July 16 this year in Luzon. And after that, we are going to listen to the various chair of the national committees for the report. So, Mr. Chair, the suggested date for the National Assembly will be on July 17 in Luzon, subject to IATF restrictions.
Okay, we're discussing here the date for the National Assembly. First, just to make it clear that the National Council meeting has to be done every quarter. So we're going to have our next National Council meeting on July 16. That is for the third quarter of this year. And thereafter, it is proposed that we have our National Assembly, where we are going to tackle the issues, the concerns that our moderator, Secretary Lambino, have already explained. So July 16 is the proposed National Council meeting, and July 17 the National Assembly. May I hear any reaction from the body? Before we recognize other members of the National Council, Mr. Chair, let us clarify that the holding of the National Council can only be called upon by the National Chairman. And so our suggested date of July 16 is subject to the approval of the National Chairman of the party, Mr. Chair. And also let us clarify that the convention of PDP Laban for purposes of the selection of our official candidates in the 2022 election can only be held later on. So for purposes of the National Assembly, the planned National Assembly, the primary purpose of that, Mr. Chair, would be the election of party officers, Mr. Chair. Okay, any reaction from the body? So do I hear there's a motion, seconded, any objection? And the dates proposed that will be that is subject to the approval of the chairman, of the party's chairman. No objection. So the dates set will be presented to the chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
At this juncture, Mr. Chair, may I ask again the chair to please recognize our acting Secretary General to discuss the reports of the chairman of the national committees of the party.
First, acting Secretary, do we have any reports from the different national committees?
Mr. Chair, there is none as of now, so there was no submission from any committee.
Okay. May I know who are the chairpersons of the different committees?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yusek Astrabel Naik is the chairperson of Membership Committee. Ms. Rupina Arcega, chairperson of Education Committee. Honorable Governor Antonio Co, chairperson of Finance Committee. Attorney Alberto Wilfredo Oxales Jr., chairperson of Legal Affairs and Arbitration Committee. Mr. Ronald Monsayak, Public Information Committee chairperson. Yusek Ryan Esteves, chairperson of Livelihood Committee. And I was informed, Mr. Chair, that Attorney Kat Contacto was the chairperson of the Committee on Youth, which was submitted to the COMELEC in 2019 election CUs.
Thank you on that. For enumerating the names of the different committee chairs. And now, may I know what is the pleasure of the board, considering that we didn't, the secretariat or acting secretariat has not received any report from the national committees.
Mr. Chair, may I ask the chair to please recognize Undersecretary Asrabel Naik?
Yes, Madam Asra, everybody recognized.
On behalf of the membership committee of the PDP Laban, may I just like to report to the party, to the National Council meeting, that our party, from being a Volkswagen party, has become a really, really big and successful party, especially with the victory of President Duterte, our national chairman. So from having only 2 national leaders who were well known in the party as of present, Mr. Chairman, I would like to put it on record that we already have around 100,000 party members, subject to the completion of all the requirements as stated in the party constitution. And of course, we have the President of the Republic of the Philippines having brought into power due to the expansion of our membership. And with this, Mr. Chairman, I would like to bring also to the attention of the National Council that the Executive Committee made a resolution in 2017 about the membership fees. However, Mr. Chairman, this has not been subjected to the approval of the National Council. And for this purpose, Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose to the body that pending the National Assembly, we would like to peg for the meantime the national membership fees at 1,000 pesos each, and other dues that will be required from other members, political figures, incumbent officials shall be subjected to the approval of the National Council on the next meeting. So I move that we adopt the membership fees in the amount of 1,000 pesos for all the members.
You're proposing that we refer that to the National Assembly for approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's a motion.
I second the motion,
Seconded.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Another matter for the membership committee, Mr. Chair, in preparation also for our next National Council meeting and in preparation for the upcoming National Assembly, the committee hereby requests the authority from the National Council that the membership committee shall be the sole authority to handle the membership, the conduct of the basic membership seminars and basic membership orientation seminars, as well as determine who are the legitimate party members of the party. I so move, Mr. Chair.
So you're proposing that the committee be given the power to process. Can you please restate again
I move that the membership committee will be given the power and full authority to conduct basic membership seminars and basic orientation seminars and to process the completion of membership as stated in our party constitution and this shall be approved by the National Council so that we can be prepared also for the calling of the National Assembly.
Okay, so there is a request by the chair of the membership committee that the committee be given the power to process, conduct educational requirement of prospective members and approve to accept or not to accept.
Mr. Chairman.
Any motion to approve the request of?
I second the motion.
There's a motion. Seconded. Any objection on the request of the the committee.
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, before we approve the motion of USEC Astra, may I just clarify, as the Vice Chair of the Education Committee, National, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I clarify from the movement whether the Education Committee will be part of the giving of the BOS?
Yes, of course, because the Education Committee shall be the one to provide the trainers that will conduct the basic membership orientation and basic membership seminars.
So in other words, Mr. Chair, the BOS will be conducted by the Membership Committee and the Education Committee.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So there is a motion, duly seconded, and the question of has been answered. Considering without any objection, then the motion is approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, please.
There being no other chairman of the national committees, Mr. Chair, who are ready to report in the respective committees, may I move that the National Council shall direct our national committees through their chairperson to render the respective reports on our next national council meeting. I so move, Mr. Chair.
So requiring all the other committees to render the report on the next council meeting. There is a motion. Seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Mr. Moderator.
We'll go to the other matters for discussion, Mr. Chair. This is the last item of the agenda. There are some pending issues and complaints, and at this juncture, I am
just a second, Mr. Moderator. Regarding the financial status, regarding the financial status of the party, considering of the forthcoming 2022 election, let's require the chair is proposing that we require the treasurer to to render a report to the National Council the status of the health of the financial status of the party.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, the Secretariat, please require our treasurer, the national treasurer, to render an account of the finances of the party.
We'll take note of that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Moderator.
Let's now proceed, Mr. Chair, to the other matters. There are letters purportedly signed by some members of the National Executive Committee.
Yeah.
I think the chair is in receipt of this letter also.
I am in receipt. I'd like to submit this to the National Committee. I'm in receipt of this National Executive Committee Resolution number 3, 2021, questioning my actions in various occasions where we initiated meetings with local party leaders in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, wherein attend this past resolution urging leaders to run in 2022 election without the benefit of due process in accordance with the bylaws of PTP Laban. What I'd like to do is give this to the Secretariat so that this can be addressed properly as part of our due process. So, Secretariat, Secjan, please, and that should be given to the committee that would investigate that accusation.
Mr. Chair, may I make this observation, Mr. Chair? Given the fact that earlier we have already approved this manifesto of support coming from the different chapters of PDP Laban, coming from local government units, coming from different sectors. And I think that letter that you received from the National Executive Committee also refer to the same acts purportedly committed by the Vice Chairman when he went around the country. So the fact that the National Council has already unanimously approved this manifesto I do believe, Mr. Chair, that whatever complaint the other party members relative to your actions in the past is already moot and academic, Mr. Chair. I just want to put that on record, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Acting Secretary.
Sir, incidentally, Mr. Chair, I also received a letter, actually a resolution from the provincial chapter of Bulacan, resolution number 2 asking for explanation from members of the PDP Laban who are openly criticizing the administration, the president, and the chairman of the party. So I will await for the disposition. If I will refer it also to the proper committee, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay. I just want to add, or based on the resolution number 3 that I just handed to the section, that has to be referred to the National Council for proper disposition and has to be tabled in the next National Council meeting, which we have proposed to be on July 16. Okay, so Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Chair, at this juncture, one of our regional officers, Mr. Alonso Saclag of the Cordillera Administrative Region, who is also our regional president, is asking him to be recognized for matter of personal and collective privilege, Mr. Chair. Okay, Mr. Saclang, you are hereby recognized.
Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Mr. Chair, gusto ko pong batiin ang mga kasamahan natin na nasa sa Zoom at sa mga kasamahan natin na nandito. At gusto ko ding i-recognize ang isang gobernador sa amin na member din ng PDP Laban, si Governor Ferdinand Tuban ng Kalinga. So nasa Zoom meeting, nasa Zoom po siya. Mr. Chairman, members of this National Council, I rise today to refer to this body the actuation of Mr. Ronald Munsayak, the chairman of our Public Information Committee. Nakita po natin na lahat yung banat niya sa Facebook ay masakit basahin at masakit pakinggan, kumbaga. Bilang isang anak ng partido PDP Laban, ang ating lolo na, ang ating tatay nene ay namatay na. At alam ko na ayaw niya yung ganong kaguluhan sa ginawa niyang partido. Ano? So, ang tatay natin, ang ating chairman, na si President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Masakit po na isang tatay ng ilang libo na anak. Sabi ko kasi lahat tayo anak ng ating ama na President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Nasasaktan po ang aking loob sa mga banat ni Ronald Munsayak. Kung nakikita nyo, lahat siguro dito, yung mga pumasyal kay Ronald Munsayak sa kanyang opisina o kanyang tanggapan. For example, mga gobernador na pumupunta doon, mga mayors. Kung minsan kasi po, Mr. Chairman, ay nandun ako ay tumatambay. So lagi niyang sinasabi sa mga ating kasamahan, kung may problemang kaunti, tignan natin. Pag may tinatanong ang mga kapartido natin, tignan natin. Dapat siya po ang tumutulong sa atin to connect sa mga ating leaders na nasa taas. So ang feeling ng ating mga kasamahan sa partido ay napabayaan na. Mas mabuti pa yung nasa ibang partido kasi nandoon sila naaalalayan. At itong mga hinaing ng ating mga kasamahan ay hindi napapaabot dahil ang gusto ni Ronald Munsayak ay sinasanitize muna. Kung may problema yung isang member, hindi niya dinediretso na sinasabi kay Senator Coco o sa ating chairman. So gusto niya malinis muna. E paano yung mga problema? hindi nakakarating. So ngayon, nagkakaproblema tayo dahil sa ganong gawain. Napuno na po ako, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Munsayak, alias tignan natin, has openly come out in this media misinforming our members that this meeting was not sanctioned by our chairman. In fact, he has openly challenged our chairman by questioning the statement and confirmation made by no less than his spokesperson. Are we okay? Mr. Munsayak is guilty of conduct detrimental to the interest of our party by continuing to foment or provoking disunity and by causing intrigue and circulating divisive misinformation and aggravating this by using his PDP position as his platform. Mr. Chairman, therefore, Mr. Chairman and the members of this council, I move that we suspend Mr. Munsayak pending investigation, and if found guilty, Mr. Ronald Munsayak be expelled from the party. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I object, Mr. Chair.
For acting on that, may I suggest that we adhere to the party's democratic process, and instead of acting on the motion by Mr. Saklang, I would like to suggest that we refer that to the proper body to look into it, and then thereafter we can discuss that in the next council meeting. Mr. Saklang?
I submit to the wisdom of the chairman, but if I may, I would like to ask the National Council to direct Mr. Ronald Munsayak from making any further divisive statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The same, we will refer that to the National Council for their deliberation, for the deliberation of the body later in the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Saklang, for understanding the position of the chair. Okay, so, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the fact that Mr. Saklang has adhered to the suggestion of the chair and withdrawn his earlier motion, we will now proceed to the next item of the agenda. I think this is the last part of our agenda. Again, Mr. Chair, I am in receipt of several petitions and resolutions emanating from the different local government units, different chapters all over the country. And may I read the title of these resolutions and manifesto coming from the different chapters of the party and from the different local government units all over the country. We have passed several resolutions, Mr. Chair. These are just a few of the resolutions that we have received. And the text of this resolution read as follows. Resolution to convince the party chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to run for Vice President in the 2022 national elections. And for President Rodrigo Duterte to choose his running mate for president in the 2022 national elections. So these are resolutions that the council has received from different regions, different chapters of the party, and from the different local government units. Elected officials of these LGUs who are not members of PDP Laban but have come up with a resolution strongly urging the president to seriously consider running for Vice President in 2022 national election, and for the President, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to choose his running mate for President in the 2022 national election. As moderator of this National Council meeting, may I move, Mr. Chairman, that this National Council shall adopt a resolution following the early resolutions made by the different chapters and different local governments all over the country to convince the PDP Laban Party Chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to run for Vice President and to choose his running mate for President in the 2022 national election. I so move, Mr. Chair.
I second the motion.
Second.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Second agad kayo. Bilis naman. Any objection? No objection. Motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There being approval of this motion, of this resolution, I have a copy here of unsigned resolution of this National Council. May I ask the Vice Chairman, who is now the acting chairman in this National Council meeting, to first do the honor of signing this resolution to be followed by the other members of the National Council in today's meeting, Mr. Chair. For those members of the National Council who are now in virtual meeting, participating in this gathering, we are going to send you a copy of this resolution for purposes of signing up also this resolution.
Please hand it to me so I can, with pleasure, sign that manifesto.
Ang resolution nila na patakbuhin si Pangulong Duterte bilang Vice President.
Document ito.
Hindi po marinig yung boses ko.
Yeah. Pero sa time. Sa ini kamu pero sa time. Pero sa time. Okay.
May we ask the other members of the National Council who are present here today to please come up the stage and affix your signature in the document. And while we are signing this document, Mr. Chair, may I ask that Governor Ben Ibardone of Eastern Samar be recognized?
Yes, Governor Ibardone, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. The provincial chapter of the province of Eastern Samar has also adopted a similar resolution to that effect, Mr. Chairman. And on the issue of insurgency, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the support of this of the body to pass a resolution urging the two houses of Congress to maintain and expand the LCAP funding, Mr. Chairman. Although at present, Eastern Samar is not a beneficiary of the LCAP funds, for those cleared barangays, I firmly believe that these funds are very important in ensuring that our kababayans in the hinterlands will feel government presence and government services. So deleting or scrapping the LCAC funds will only bolster the insurgency problem in several areas of the country, Mr. Chairman. So I hope that our party will take a firm stand on this issue, because this is very vital in supporting President Duterte's efforts to end finally the insurgency in our country. I so move, Mr. Chairman, and seek the support of this body for the retention and, in fact, expansion and increase of the LCAC funds. These LCAC funds, Mr. Chairman, does not go to the LCAC secretariat or body. The funds go directly to the barangays for various developmental projects. So this information campaign of the opposition that the LCAC funds will be abused, will be used by the LCAC body is misplaced. It has no basis, Mr. Chairman, because the funds will go directly to the barangays which have been cleared from insurgency. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm appealing and asking the support of this body to pass a resolution asking both houses of Congress to retain and expand and increase the LCAC funds. I so move, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Second, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Hello, that's Mike. Need to pass the resolution to support LCAC. So, do I hear several seconds any objection? Hearing none, the motion is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my colleagues.
Chair, we ask the governor, city mayors, or congressmen who are still with us in the Zoom meeting if we still have some comments. And may I recognize also for Chairman who is present in this.
Mr. Chair.
Congresswoman, you're
like to manifest, Mr. Chair, that party may use my e-signature as part of that manifestation being signed right now.
There's a request of Congresswoman Yu, and she is authorizing us to use her e-signature affixed in that document we are signing. The acceptance of the e-signature for signing this resolution. Please state your name, sir. Governor Yu.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Governor Yu,
I would like to manifest also, Mr. Chair, for the support the endorsement resolution to requesting the president to run for vice president, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Governor. And you can do that by signing the resolution that has just been adopted by the body. Thank you. I see also Undersecretary Martin Dino.
Yeah, yung sa LCAC kasi there are only 820 barangays, and this project will assure na talagang yung for the first time only this government ang yung mga naiwan sa laylayan for 52 years na ano sila ng NPA Ngayon lang sila makakatanggap ng 20 million each. Kaya yan, tama yung sinabi kanina ni Governor Ebertoni na expand pa yan. Para naman maramdaman ng ating mga countryside, tapos it is high time for us to do this. At kanina, yun lang, ano ko lang, lahat tayo magtrabaho. Kasi this is our time. Yung party build-up, yung kamukha ng sinabi kanina ng ating chairman ng membership, palagay ko, nandito tayo sa poder ngayon, palakihin natin ang partido para kahit na wala na tayo lahat dito, ay ang PDP Laban ay mag-i-exist pa rin. Since 1982, puro struggle ang ginawa natin. At ngayon na nandito na tayo lahat. I hope na yung seminar BMS, kasi yan ang puso ng partido na to. Ito lang ang partido na alam mo kung ano yung partidong sinalian. At ang request ko lang sa inyong lahat na exert all effort na palakihin natin ang partido down to barangay level. Yun lang, maraming salamat sa inyo.
Thank you, Undersecretary Martin. Please remain standing. Please clap your hands in honor of our God, our Allah. Thank you. Some people are asking bakit nauna raw yung pambansang awit bago yung prayers.